Good morning, Wally. How you doing? He's a good kitten. And there's the Douglas. Hey, buddy. You thirsty? Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to L-Space Books, or welcome to L-Space Books if you're new. My name is Tristan. Today, I am doing a weekly wrap-up of my reading, as well as kind of what I'm planning to read in the coming days. I have been a little MIA, as kind of per usual, ever since I uploaded my 1-year celebration video of my all-time favorite books. Without getting too in the weeds of personal things, both of my grandmas passed away within a short period, so my brain has just kind of been understandably elsewhere. So I'm getting back into the swing of things now, and here we are, wrapping up some reading from the last, I guess, 2 weeks. I had filmed a reading wrap-up a while ago, but I'm honestly just going to scrap it and just kind of fast forward a little bit to what we've got here. So first of all, I think the major reading project is, of course, Book 2 or Volume 2 of Les Mis, which I am not enjoying as much as the first volume. So the first volume has Fantine and oh gosh. Well, anyway, now I'm forgetting exactly which parts they're in, but it starts off telling the story of the priest that Jean Valjean initially encounters and kind of lays the philosophical framework through which we view the events that happen within the books. And this one has been a little bit denser with kind of Hugo's philosophical meanderings, which he's very self-aware of that. He says, if you could please excuse this further digression, this is important to the narrative. I think it is also an enjoyable experience to receive and to view the history through his eyes, because he does paint it from a very particular perspective. He's not exactly an objective historian. That's certainly not his goal in crafting this novel. He is really trying to evoke these events that happened between 1810 and 1848, and he's trying to paint them basically kind of like events that transpired through the will of God, according to his particular tradition. So from that perspective, it is interesting to see how he plays with fate and this idea of divine intervention, the sort of culmination of all of his views on society and politics and morality, and how they come together in the way that he evokes these events. So he goes through the fall of Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo, and then here he's talking about the sort of the revolutions of 1830 and 1848, and the just kind of ramifications of both of those things, and sort of what his views on those things are. So it's really very interesting. And one of my friends said that, and I think she even commented on one of the videos, is that when you read this book, you not only read the book for the story, but you also kind of get a degree in the story, because you're getting educated by Hugo with everything, and it's kind of true. But I'm still enjoying this a lot, and I think that the action is definitely ramping up. I love how this really is, it's something that you have to read. Obviously the Les Mis musical is fantastic, and we love it, and the films have always been good, but there are certain things that the text relies on being exclusively read as a novel as opposed to viewed visually, and there's certain, like, I mean, like, there will be characters that are introduced that are then revealed later to be characters that we've seen in the past, and that relies on us not being able to physically see who they are. Because if you have an actor portraying Jean Valjean and he's in disguise as somebody else, we're still going to know that it's Hugh Jackman, right? Because we know what Hugh Jackman looks like. And so, I mean, there's hints within the novel that we're like, I kind of wonder, but that feeds the speculation and kind of feeds the suspense of it, and that's why reading it is so good and important. So that's why I am still enjoying it a lot. Like, don't get me wrong. And as per usual, the cats are playing. Hi, Douglas. Yeah, you have airplane ears. You're being attacked by Wally. Okay. So I'm like 100 pages away from finishing Volume 2, so you can see that we've definitely skipped ahead quite a bit as far as my reading goes. But I think the first one that I had, the first reading wrap-up that I had done, I was maybe 80 pages in, so now we're significantly further along. This has taken me and is going to take me probably the entire month of March to finish, because this one's a lot longer. I think the other one, Volume 1, was 480 pages. This is almost 580 pages. So, significantly longer, taking a lot more time, but I'm still loving the fact that I get to read this in French, which is phenomenal, and I feel very accomplished being able to do that. So I also have my book club pick for the Very Gay Book Club with Eric Cervini through Alstora, and this is the only book subscription service that I currently subscribe to because it's very tailored to, obviously, my interests and my, well, identity. So this has been a really good reading experience so far. So this is I Leave It Up to You by Jinwoo Chong, and I really liked this. It follows a character whose name is Jack Jr., which he's very, like, adamant about saying that is his name. Like, people will call him Jack, and he's like, it's Jack Jr., which I think is just so funny, as a piece of his character. So he wakes up from a coma, and kind of has to figure out what happened, how he even got in the coma is a mystery, and he kind of wakes up to the fact that he's been asleep for 2 years, and you sort of piece together everything that has happened in the 2 years that he has been asleep, and, his life is effectively gone, and he has to kind of re-evaluate everything about his identity and what he wants, who he is, and everything from there. And his family owns a sushi restaurant, and that was honestly probably the most enjoyable part of this book, was the detailed and mouth-watering imagery of sushi. If you don't like sushi, you might not enjoy this book as much as I did, because I love sushi, and it was just a lot of fun reading this. The one thing that I had a little bit of an issue with was the dialogue. The dialogue was not the best, but, like, it was not unenjoyable by any means. The rest of the writing was very good. I really enjoyed Jack Jr.'s journey, and this is one that, it was another one that just kind of really gripped me and kept me going from page one. It was one that I really always was wanting to sit down and pick up and it never left me feeling like I didn't want to read it. So I would highly recommend this one. It's, especially if you're looking for a good gay, it's not a coming of age one. It's kind of a gay finding yourself, spiritual journey, I don't know, journey to self-actualization and family connections, really strong theme. But yeah, it's a lovely book. And decently funny. I mean, it's not a laugh out loud kind of book, but it's definitely one that will just like make you, the corners of your mouth turn up and you'll kind of chuckle maybe, because it's a light and it's a fun book despite dealing with some heavier things. So next, I borrowed from the library and started Bora Chung's newest book, translated by Anton, the legend, the icon, we love him, Your Utopia. And I am not very far into this. I say that, but then it's like, I'm almost, 50. So I've read the first story, and I'm kind of in the middle of the second story. It's reading very much like Cursed Bunny. Definitely, like, I mean, it's the typical Bora Chung style for sort of absurd, horror-adjacent stories, both science fiction and speculative fiction type of thing. Yeah, I didn't love the first story. I thought that it was maybe a little clumsy, but the second one certainly has me gripped. It's a little frightening. It's like, what if there was a zombie apocalypse, but it wasn't zombies? It was a virus that made people cannibals, and that has been frightening. But so I'm very much enjoying the second story. The first one, kind of a little bit of a letdown for me, but the second one, really good. And I'm excited to continue with these ones because they are so far quite enjoyable. So I think after I finish Les Mis, which should be like today or tomorrow, maybe Monday, we'll see. You know, that's a pretty lofty goal, considering I have about 100 pages left and it takes me like an hour to get through 30 pages. That's a lot of reading time. We'll see. TBD. But my in-person book club selected the Freedom Writers' Diary for our next book. And so we are going to be reading this one. I really liked the film when I saw it when I was like 15. I have not really thought about it much since then, and I'm kind of curious to see how this one is going to hold up. I am a little apprehensive because it, at least from my current sort of, I guess, senses, I'm really hoping it's not going to read like a white savior type of book, but we'll see. More thoughts to come. I'm going into it with an open mind, and I think regardless, the underlying message of hope and the powerful magic of writing and literature are still things that I think are valuable to take away from this. So, like, regardless of whether or not it ends up being kind of a white savior type thing, which I don't remember and I don't know, I think that overall this is probably a pretty important book for us right now when so much of art and literature is starting to be silenced and kind of erased. So I think that using writing and using literature as a way of resistance and a way of maintaining hope and a way of finding ourselves, returning to kind of the base of our soul, if you will, it's an important thing to do. So from that standpoint, I'm looking forward to this. And, you know, I'm a teacher, so I'm also kind of an aspiring English teacher as well, so I would love to kind of read this from that perspective. More thoughts on that to come. The last update is that my in-person book club and I are going to go to see Karen Russell speak at the Harvard Bookstore. I think it's maybe at the Cambridge Library in Cambridge, Massachusetts, for the release of her new book, The Antidote. And I'm really excited for that one because I read, and here I'm going to be blanking on the title of it, but I read one of her short stories in the Best Short Stories of 2022. It was a really, really interesting short story that was kind of post-apocalyptic speculative fiction, and I really liked it, and I really liked her writing, and I was wanting more from her. So now, I mean, I know that she's written Swamplandia, which I just haven't gotten to yet, but this one really sounds up my alley. So I'm excited to go and hear her speak, and of course get my copy of the Antidote, and I'm going to probably be picking that up fairly soon because it sounds very interesting. And it's set in the Dust Bowl, and I think Karen Russell writes like desolation and like sparseness really well, and I think she's going to do a really good job with this one. So we'll see how that goes, and like I said, I'm really excited to see her speak because she's a cool lady. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you very much for watching. I am glad that we got a chance to kind of catch up and talk about reading and books. What have you been reading? Let me know in the comment section what you have been enjoying or not enjoying, and what you would recommend or disrecommend. It's up to you what you wanna let me know in the comments, but please let me know what you're doing. Just give me an update, guys. Come on. All right, I'll see you again very soon with another video, but until then, take care. Bye.